Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every day out there on YouTube. If you could hit that subscribe and bell notification button and also drop a like on the video, we'd really appreciate it as we try to grow the channel. Joining me tonight for a very special episode, we'll tell you now in a minute what it is our resident referee, Mark. But at the weekend, wasn't a resident referee. He was a goalkeeper. Mark, tell us... give us a little story about the weekend.
For me sins. So I was playing a goal for a Manchester United Legends team on Saturday. That consisted of Dennis Irwin, Wes Brown, David May, Liam Martin, Brian McClare, Keith Gillespie, Chris Eagles, Clayton Blackmore, Liam O'Brien. Just fantastic experience.
Just your average Saturday.
Just your average Saturday, Met up with the lads in the hotel in the Glen Royal in Minute there at I was there for about 10:30 on Saturday morning, and the lads were doing a meet and greet. There was 160 fans for the meet and greet at 11:30 on the Saturday morning, so they flew through a fair play. Oh, sorry, Lee Sharp was there as well. Sorry, and a good chat with Lee. But they went to the meet and greet. It's amazing to see them and how many fans of all different ages turned up for the meet and greet to get stuff signed, whether it be programs, jerseys, whatever it was, and we had the trophies down there where fans could come over after getting their autographs and get a few pictures with the trophies and stuff like that. So that finished at it was meant to finish at 1. I think it was about 1:25. So everyone cleared out the room and we got a bit of tea and we headed off on the team bus then from the Glen Royal Hotel to the ground up on Rack Coffee Road, where we faced Minute Town. It was great. There was some atmosphere up there. Crowds from everywhere. There was 2 buses that came down from Belfast as supporters that came to see the lads and stuff. And we ended up winning 4-2. I played the last 25 minutes of the second half and I didn't concede any goals. So kept a clean sheet on my Manchester United debut. And then, it was unbelievable. Just in the change room after, sitting down and you look to your left-hand side and Dennis Irwin is sitting beside you just chatting away to him, They all had time for everyone. It was great to see. And even after the match, I stayed on the pitch for must have been more than half an hour to sign all the fan stuff that were there as well. So it was a great day, great experience, and just a once-in-a-lifetime thing it was,
Yeah, absolutely. Sounded brilliant. I was expecting to see pictures of yourself and Sharpie running to the corner flag to do the old Elvis celebration.
Well,
that would be class.
It would have been good, but unfortunately, Sharpie pulled his groin after about 15 minutes. So it was mad because he went back to the change room and kind of halfway during the first half, I was lashing the water into me, so I was dying for a wee. So I went back into the change room and went for a wee and sat there with Sharpie for about 15 minutes just chatting away while the match was going on outside, He was just telling me about he owns a bar over in Spain and stuff like that. And he doesn't do many of the matches, but he tries to come over here as much as he can. He was saying he loves the Irish fans,
So no wonder he pulled his groin living that lovely life over in Spain there with the bar and everything and all that.
Yeah.
What else would you do? I was thinking if you had him at a meet and greet as well, you'd have to set up a little bit of Astro tour for the corner flag to do the pictures.
Yeah.
It'd be absolutely class, wouldn't it?
Because I was chatting to him because I remember his hat-trick against Arsenal in Highbury back in the day, wearing the old sharp blue jersey, and his first goal was a cracker. If you go on YouTube and look it up, it's unbelievable. And I said to him, that's one of my favourite goals for me. He said, the funny thing is Lee Dixon was behind me saying, shoot, come on, Sharpie, shoot. He's not expecting him to shoot. He hits it with his right foot, top corner, around by seam, and it was unbelievable. Check the goal out. And I was asking him, he had this other celebration where he'd run to the corner flag and do this and go like that, So I asked him where he got it from, and he said that a dance he's in the Hacienda. And he said the first time he done it, Ferguson wasn't happy at all. And I said, did you stop doing it? And he goes, what do you think? And I said, well, I've seen a few times you doing it. So, yeah, he did it against Sir Alex's wishes. But no, it was brilliant. Like I said, we won 4-2. David May scored two penalties. Dennis missed one in the first half. But, even Maisie just coming in. Chris Eagles had the music banging in the change room. Maisie comes in after the game and asks for the Pesh mode. Just can't get enough for all that. They're all dancing in the change room and stuff like that. So it's brilliant. Just a great experience,
I thought you were going to say he was winding up the minute lads by playing "Enjoy the Silence" or something like that.
But
Absolutely
yeah, no,
brilliant.
it was brilliant. And like I said, like one of the bus loads from Belfast stayed behind. So even after they spent a half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever it was on the pitch, after we came in, we all had a shower, and they signed autographs again. Like Liam O'Brien was there. Liam, fantastic. There was my wife's cousin's little lad was there in his Rovers top. He signed the Rovers top and all for him. Absolute gent, just chatting away to these lads. So it's it was some experience. Like, it was some day to look back and just think that I played with all those legends. And Brian McClare was there again. He was bang on. He lasted the 90 minutes. David May, Dennis Irwin all lasted the 90 minutes. And Maynooth actually, they put them to the sword in the first half. They had Maynooth have their over 35s from last season now. They did very well. Some good players in there, but they took a 2-0 lead, but we came back and won 4-2. So it was great.
They
Great. It
did
was
well.
great.
They did well in the cup last year, didn't they?
The first team done well in the cup. Yeah,
Yeah,
they got knocked out by Bowes. It was in
that's right. Yeah,
the
I
last
remember that.
16 of the quarterfinals. I
Yeah,
think it was.
I
So
remember that. I remember talking to the lads at the night that they did to launch the day that
yeah,
you were at and stuff
yeah.
like that. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
no, listen, they're a great club down there. Obviously the day was all made of raising money to build an astro down there. And like, when you think of Maynooth Town, it's so big, and they're the only club in the area. So there's a great catchment area, and
Mm.
as you well know, because every club of that size needs an astro turf pitch. And it's especially with the weather and all over here, and when you're trying to
Yeah.
develop these young lads, it's a vital, it's essential for the club to get one. And hopefully it was they've raised enough money to
Yeah.
do so.
Yeah, you led me in there nicely, because what I would say to our viewers is, regardless of what team you follow, if you can get out to one of these Legends 11s games that Tony runs and stuff like that, it's a
Yeah.
fabulous experience and it's a great day out. And I was going to say it, how good a footballer is Brian McClare still? He is
It's
unbelievable as a
yeah,
footballer. I seen him at the Celtic game. I seen him turn Sheriff inside out and
yeah,
ping a ball from 20 yards out into the top corner. You
yeah.
will not see a better goal in the Premier League at
Ah,
times. He
yeah.
is unbelievable. And it's weird, like, because he's totally transformed. He's totally different now. Like, if you
I
didn't
know you
know him,
wouldn't.
you wouldn't
Yeah, you wouldn't
recognise him,
know
like,
him,
you know what I mean?
but
But when
it's
he takes
funny
on
you
the pitch,
say.
and I tell you, you
It's
know how competitive he is.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was winding up the Sheriff lads on the bench and everything about scoring and all, because they were obviously having a pop off and saying, "You won't be scoring any
yeah.
today" and stuff like that and all. And
But
when
no,
that goal went in, he absolutely tore us under. It's great to see how competitive they still are, that they never lose
without a
that.
doubt, without a doubt.
Mm,
And it's funny because we were standing on the sideline during the game. It was myself and Tony and Wes Brown was standing there, and Wes was saying, when Chucky was coaching the U team and Wes Brown was coming up, Chucky would often jump in for the five-a-sides, and he said
mm,
he would show anyone up coming up through the ranks in Carrington at the time.
yeah,
He said or in the Cliff as it was back then, but he said he would show anyone up, and he still has a touch. He still has that touch.
unreal.
Listen, the pace is gone, but he still has it here. He still has it in the feet. It's unbelievable to see. Um,
Mm,
Even Liam O'Brien was the same. Liam played really well. Clayton Blackmore played really well. Chris Eagles done well, but he's 36, 37. He's probably only retired a few years, but he's still done well. And Keeka Lesby, Jesus, he looks like he
yeah,
can still play. He can get
yeah,
a game for anyone. He's as fit as a fiddle.
yeah. They just don't lose it. I think the night we were down there at Maynooth for the launch of the day, I think Wes told the story when he went into United as an apprentice. I think he was cleaning Chucky's boots,
Yeah.
and he was saying they'd always give them like presents at Christmas and stuff like that. And he was winding up, I think he was winding up Brian McLaren the night when we were at it, saying that, like, he was miserable and all. The present he gave him at Christmas was terrible. All the boys were getting good presents off Brian
Yeah.
Robson and all, and Chucky was real tight and stuff like that and all. So it was really, really
Uh,
cool to listen to.
I
So
know.
great old stories, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, it was brilliant. Like I said, even on the team bus after, we were having the crack going back down to the Glen Royal, and
Mm,
some of the stories, and just like I said, chatting away, like in the shower, all the lads, Lee Martin and all, just chatting away. And Dennis
mm,
Irwin was sitting beside me in the dressing room, and I was chatting away to him. And
mm.
actually, Toto Africa came on, and he says, "You know who wrote that?" I said, "Jeez, I don't." He said, "Prince did." I was like, "All right." So I learned something new off Dennis that day as well. So yeah, it's all
Yeah,
good. But I took a Swift exit home, but I've been told they had a very good and late night in the Glen Royal on Saturday night as well. So I'd say there was a few sore heads on Sunday.
Absolutely, without a shadow
Yeah.
of a doubt, and I mean that's
Well
part
earned.
of it as well, isn't it? And it's
Yeah,
great.
like
It's great to see them all getting back together as well and sharing stories and having a few beers or whatever it
yeah,
is, and still going out and be able to enjoy football stuff. Because I have to say, if you're a professional footballer, when your career comes to an end, it must be so difficult to,
yeah.
step over that line and accept that like it's gone past you, it's done, you've achieved what you've achieved. So to be able to do this and give back to the sport at a local level, it must
Yeah.
be a fabulous feeling for these guys as well.
It's great. And I said just for the town in general, the fans that came down and what I believe a lot of the lads that came from Belfast, there was a few lads out from Manchester, so they all were in Brady's and the Newtown Mill and stuff like that. So it was great for the town. There was great buzz around the Newt on Saturday.
Yeah.
Even after the game, you could see all the lads in United jerseys around the town and stuff like that when we were driving back into it on the bus and stuff. So no, it was well organised. Fair play to all the lads in Minute and fair play to Tony and all the lads at Legends 11 because they knocked it out of the park. They done an excellent job. And like I said, hopefully they raise enough money to build the new Astro down in that Coffee Road.
Did you mess about? Did you go over to sign a few autographs for the cracker or anything like that? No.
It's for when I was in goal, a little kid behind the goal was like, keeper, can I have your jersey? Can I have your jersey? I was like, no, I'm keeping that. There it is there. I got all the lads to sign it. But walking towards the change room with a few of the young lads, one of the lads asked me to sign his jersey. And I said, are you sure you want me to sign your jersey? Like,
You should have done it just for the crack.
Yeah. So, I know it was great crack.
Yeah.
And like I said, all the lads are absolute bang on, down to earth there. David May put a great picture up on his Twitter. One of the lads sent it to me of him and the lads in Brady's on Saturday after the game. He had boys on tour and all, all you see all the lads having points there. It was great to see them.
And that's beautiful as well because they're always so approachable. They'll take any amount of pictures, any amount of autographs. Nothing is a problem at all. It's brilliant to see it, like, you know what I mean? And
like I said, they were on the pitch because after the full-time whistle went, it seemed like the whole crowd just came onto the pitch to the centre circle where the lads were. And like they didn't leave till they signed everything. Like me and a few of the other lads had gone into the change room. And obviously Sharpie was in there. And we were there a good while. And the lads were still out signing autographs. And then even after we had our shower and went back out, they still signed for people. It was great to see.
No, it's great. Brilliant.
It's great experience for the younger people as well, seeing these lads. They might know exactly who they were, but they were enjoying it the day that was in it.
Well, see, the thing about it is once they experience that, they'll go home and jump on YouTube and they'll have a look at these guys then. And I always say that it's brilliant, like at a young level as well. If you can understand and remember the history of your club, it's so important when you're a fan and stuff like that, So, absolutely brilliant. Great day by Minute and Legends 11 and the Man United Legends that came over. So, really successful day and fabulous, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more. But tonight, we have an interesting show for our viewers. Tonight we're going to be talking about a Premier League Combined 11 Irish edition. Which on our WhatsApp group today created a lot of debate in certain positions. Who should be in, who should be out, and all that kind of stuff.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. And
it's great to hear everyone's opinion. Like.
Yeah, and it's good because the thing about it is, if you have your opinion, you have a reason for putting your player in, then it's fine. You can justify it because not everyone's 11 is going to be the same. Yeah. I'm looking at my 11 and your 11, and I'm thinking 4 we might match on.
Okay, yeah.
Probably 4, which is less than half the team. And we're obviously going to, because there's been so many fabulous Irish players in the Premier League, we'll have some notable mentions at the end as well and reasons and all that kind of stuff. But we'll get into it anyway. It should be a bit of fun. And we will kick it off. And what we'll do is towards the end then, we look at the WhatsApp group and we put out the teams that the boys have chosen as well. Just to give you a feel for how they fared out. Because it was a tough one. I was surprised Greg on our WhatsApp group, he came back very quick with his 11. So obviously he's thought about this before or he's done it before. But it took me a while.
It was tougher. You probably found it because it was tougher than you think, isn't it? Like,
yeah, because you know the funny thing about it? Yeah, because you want to include certain guys, you're going to play a formation that Ireland never played.
Yeah,
so that's the fun thing about it as well, because you're trying to crowbar guys in there, but you can't necessarily put them in a 4-4-2. No. You can't necessarily put them in a 4-3-3. So you're going to play a formation that Ireland has never taken to the pitch and played ever.
Yeah, I never will probably.
And never will either. So kick us off. I mean, I don't think we'll have any. Give us your goalkeeper.
I've gone for in goal. Oh, sorry, go ahead, cuz, and the
Give us your
back
back.
line as
Give us.
well.
Yeah. What? First of all, what formation did you go with?
Well, I found this difficult. I've gone for a 5-3-2,
A 5-3-2.
playing
Okay.
wing backs.
That's probably a formation we may have played before
Yeah,
when we're under the
yeah.
cosh. I went for a 4-3-3.
Okay,
Yeah, so it should
nice
be
one.
interesting anyway. So yeah, so give us your goalkeeper and your back line then.
Well, I have a team of Gary Brain. So in goal, number one, Gary Brain.
John
Listen,
O'Shea.
John O'Shea. Yeah, you never know.
Not a bad goalkeeper.
I think there's only one obvious choice to go here, isn't it? It's the man from Donegal, Mr. Shea, giving himself. Obviously,
Absolutely.
Blackburn, Newcastle, City, Villa, Stoke, even unbelievable shot stopper for a lad that wasn't the tallest of goalkeepers, but he was unbelievable at stopping shots that you wouldn't think that he could even get to. Um,
Had
he
a
played
great
at the high,
spring. Had a great spring,
yeah,
didn't he? Had
yeah.
a great spring to cover the goal. Yeah.
Kept us in games in the international scene and kept City in games and stuff like that. Don't forget, like he was playing in a City team that had, the likes of Sylvan Distan and all at the back, so they weren't in great shape at that time, and he always was on form, and I don't think anyone could, who else had you, listen, without being disrespectful, you're looking at the likes of Dean Coyley and Alan Kelly and stuff like that, so I think any team that we're talking about, you have to have Shay Given number one.
Wait till I put it in perspective. It's padlocked, right? We won't be accepting anyone coming on talking about
Yeah,
anyone other than Shay Given. If you
yeah,
want to put someone in the notable mentions, that's all good. 451 games in the Premier League,
yeah,
134 games for Ireland, and 62 clean sheets.
yeah, yeah,
62 clean sheets for now. Let that sink in.
yeah,
A clean sheet for Ireland, which is not something that comes
yeah, that
easy,
you can,
as we well know
exactly.
these days and all. 62 clean sheets, nearly a clean sheet in every other game.
Yeah. And
Massive
what I will
respect for
say
Shay
is,
Given.
if we're doing this show in 10 years, we've got unbelievable choices. You look at Queevy and Kelleher, Gav, and then Mark Travers as well. Three unbelievable keepers. Mark Travers signed a new 5-year deal with Bournemouth there today. Gav is obviously signed with Southampton. He's going to be
Southampton,
playing a
yeah,
lot of first team
massive.
football. So if we're doing this in another few years, it's a bit more trickier
And
to choose
and
from.
you look at the quality of those keepers that we have there now, which is arguably the one position in the international team at the moment where we are drenched in talent.
Yeah,
And look at how difficult it still is to keep clean
yeah,
sheets, even for a
exactly.
boy at the level of Gavin Bazunu or Queevy Kelleher, who's number two to Alison Becker at
Yeah,
Liverpool and was fundamental in winning the domestic cups last season. So we need to put things in perspective. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to
Right,
be.
this back
So
line is going to be interesting. A 5-man back line, you're shoring it up here.
I
Must have
am,
thought we were
yeah.
playing Brazil or something, were you?
Oh
Or France
yeah,
or
yeah.
something, yeah?
That's it. So no, it was tough. Right full, or right wing back, whatever way you want to look at it, was tough. You had the likes of Gary Kelly, Seamus Coleman. You could even put Matt Doherty in there if you want. I know he's kind of more recent, but I've gone for one, and he's been on a few of my lists before in terms of what he done in the Premier League. Obviously, he had a great run at Fulham, got the move to Liverpool and stuff like that. So I've gone for Stevie Finn in that right full.
Big
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
Big show. This was nearly the one position today that drove the most debate on our
Really.
WhatsApp group. Yeah,
No way.
yeah.
Like I said, listen, Coleman is there. What he's done, got the move over from Sligo Rovers to Everton at the time. I think it was a 500,000 or something like that. Yeah, there's no doubt in what he's capable of doing. With the passion that he has there. Gary Kelly as well, another unbelievable right full. Think about he was in that team that got to the Champions League semi-final against Valencia for Leeds. What he done in the Premier League for them, getting up and down that wing, and he was actually a really good defender as well, Gary Kelly. But Stevie Finn won it over for me. Um,
Incredible.
Beside him, I'm going for someone that isn't to everyone's taste. He had the nickname the Honey Monster, so I'm going for Richard Dunn. What he done with Everton and particularly Man City as well, I think he was fantastic. He's a type of centre half that I used to love. We stick his head in anywhere, love to tackle, get up for corners, score. He just had a massive, massive heart, and like I said, remember we all talk about that game against Russia where he fell and hit his head off the side of the pitch, and he continued on with the white jersey, and someone had wrote 5 done in a black permanent marker on the back. But he was to me,
shades of Terry Butcher.
Yeah. So to me, he was just unbelievable. So I've gone for Dunn. Listen, beside him is probably one of the greatest Irish defenders to ever put a green shirt on. And listen, he played for United when Ferguson came in. He didn't fancy him, Robson, and Norman Whiteside sticking together, but went on to have a great career with Aston Villa. Probably a move that it probably brought a few more years out of him. You know, his knees weren't great, but he continued on, and he was fantastic for us USA '94. So I've gone for Paul McGrath there as well. I don't think you can have an Irish team like this and not have Paul McGrath in it, to be honest with you.
Oh, believe me, you can.
Oh really?
Yeah,
oh really?
Believe me, you can. And
okay.
We'll discuss it later. Don't worry.
Okay. And then my final 2 defenders are listen, could be a bit biased, but this man was a versatile player. He could play left, he could play right, he could play in the centre, he could play in midfield, and he could play in goals. So I've gone for John O'Shea in there as well. Listen, what he done for Manchester United.
Great shout.
Listen, what he done for United, he won. I don't know how many titles he won. He was involved obviously in a lot of big games, nuts and Luis Figo in the Champions League and stuff like that. And listen, he's just a down to earth guy. You know, there was no airs or graces about him. He went out and done his job, and that was it. Obviously, he had a season or so with Sunderland after he left with us. So him and Wes Brown were both there at the same time. So I've gone for John O'Shea. And then left full, an old teammate of mine from Saturday, sat beside me in the dressing room on Saturday. Listen, he's one of my favourite. I said it to him as well. He's my favourite ever United player. Mr. Reliable, Dennis Irwin at left full. I don't think you can argue with that either. Listen, Ian Hart, you can put Ian Hart there, but he's not in the category of Dennis Irwin in my opinion. So honourable mention to Hart. Or listen, Steve Staunton as well. I was only talking to Rowan and work about this earlier. Steve Staunton, fantastic left full with Villa, Liverpool at the start of the Premier League. But for me, it has to be Dennis Irwin all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. Great shout. I went for 4 at the back, and I've only one difference. You've hit 3. So okay. I went for Richard Dunn, 431 games in the Premier League, 80 games for Ireland, and 8 goals. Really good. I obviously went for Dennis Irwin, the same, 328 in the Premier League, 56 for Ireland. I'm surprised that Dennis 56 just for Ireland. I would have thought more.
Yeah.
And I put in the one that was a bone of contention. You put in Stevie Finn. Now this for me is just a flip of a coin, really. I would normally have Steve Finnan in there, but I went with Seamus Coleman just because of the volume of games and longevity and all that kind of stuff. 299 games in the Premier League, 59 for Ireland. And the one that I swapped out there, because you went for a 5, you were able to include. I didn't necessarily want to exclude Paul McGrath, but I put John O'Shea in. Now the reason I put John O'Shea in before Paul McGrath wasn't a disrespect thing. It was because John O'Shea won so much with Man United. And I was thinking, this is a Premier League elite combined 11 Irish edition. So I was thinking, just on the basis of what O'Shea achieved in his career, when he sits back and he looks at his cabinet and stuff like that, I think not necessarily in terms of play, but in terms of what he achieved, outshone Paul McGrath. But only a small thing. 445 games, 116 games for Ireland. And as you said, a quiet lad who went about his business, loved his football, consummate professional, and a brilliant player. No disrespect to Paul McGrath. Paul McGrath could easily go in there. Goes into most people's teams without a shadow of a doubt. Give me your midfield.
3 midfield. On my left-hand side, I've gone for the man from Ballybowden. Started his career off at Leicester Celtic, right across from Nuckrow Shopping Centre there. Got him out to Blackburn Rovers. And I've ever seen him a few times playing for Blackburn against United. And he'd be running up and down the wing. And he was like that. But he always looked absolutely wrecked. He'd be hands on the hips. And so gone for Duffer on the left-hand side. Again, he's one of those that just picks himself, him and Given and one of the lads who we have up front. I just think they pick for themselves, you know. Yeah, obviously, was it 2003, got them out to Chelsea, and he just stepped it up a gear then, you know, being able to play Champions League football as well, and what he done for Ireland, you know, that goal against in Saudi Arabia and Korea there in the World Cup. And he done the old bow celebration and stuff. But yeah, no, listen, his quality was unbelievable. Don't know how many. Do you know how many Premier Leagues he won with Chelsea? Or
Duffer, he 392 games in the Premier League, 100 for Ireland, and 21 goals between goals and assists. 21 goal contributions for Ireland. I'm not sure. With Chelsea. I think he won 2, didn't he?
yeah,
I
it's
think
in
he
or
won
around that.
2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I think he won 2.
I was
But
listen. Him and Keane came in to the team, and it was hard for him at the start because we were always renowned for the long ball over the top. So, you know, if you're playing in midfield, you're literally watching the ball just pumped up to Niall Quinn all the time. But it slowly changed, and he got on the ball a lot more. And we seen the performances against Holland and stuff like that, Portugal, France, and we were pitting ourselves up against these teams. And remember the game against Italy in Croke Park and stuff like that. He was excellent in that game as well. So. Like I said, he has to be in any team. So in the middle of midfield, I had to put in one of Dazzler's old buddies. He was in Croke Park on Saturday watching the Rebel County against the Dubs. So I've gone for Mr. Roy Keane in the centre midfield. And again, I think it's one of those you can't argue with. I don't think there's many in his position for Ireland that were better than him before that or after him, you know.
Even after our episode on Saipan 20 years
Yeah.
on, check it out. It's up there on the channel and stuff like that. Doing really, really well.
Yeah,
People really enjoying it. Yeah, it'd be very hard to exclude him. You'd want to be very bitter about Saipan to exclude him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, he is. Listen, he has to be in the team. So my last midfielder is one that a player that should have won more caps for Ireland. Unfortunately, Trapattoni didn't fancy picking him as much and preferred to pick Glenn Whelan, Keith Andrews, even gave Paul Green. Do you remember him? A cap or two. So
briefly.
Yeah. So listen, he mightn't have won the most trophies or anything like that, but for me, he's one of the best attacking midfielders that we had seen in a long time. When he gets the ball at his feet, he glides. He was only playing up until last season with Cambridge. Hopefully he'll stay on. So I've gone for Wes Hoolahan in midfield as well. I just think we missed the best years of his career because Trapattoni didn't fancy having him in the team because Trapattoni was stuck living in this system of playing Whelan and Andrews. Like it's like now with Hendrick still getting the game, you look and think, how the hell is this lad getting the game?
Yeah.
So I've gone for Wes in midfield as well.
Fabulous footballer, yeah, absolutely. Didn't probably looks back on his career with a little bit of regret, but it wasn't his fault at all. Interesting choice. I'm not sure whether he'd be in there on most people's shouts. Because of Premier League, you know, when you're thinking of the Premier League.
He had 10 years with Norwich, and he played in the Premier League with Norwich. He would have played with West Brom as well.
Yeah.
So, but like I just think he's an unbelievable footballer. He's one of those footballers that we needed in the team, and it never happened. Yeah. And when he was in the team, do you remember the ball he played for Brady?
He was such a clever footballer. Like his level of thinking was at a different level. And I think at times, I think that's why Trapattoni was concerned about him, because he came in, he'd have that flair of thinking at a different level, and sometimes the players around him wouldn't be operating at the level he was thinking at.
But the two goals that stick out. Yeah. I know, but the two goals that stick out were the one he set up for Brady, and then he set up John O'Shea's goal against Germany that time. Remember, in the last minute, to equalise to make it 1-1. Yeah. He just, for me, he was a fantastic footballer. Listen, he still is. He was doing it for Cambridge last season. He's obviously talking about retirement. Cambridge have offered him a coaching role, but I think Wezzo wants to stay on and play for at least another year. Him and Duffer were in talks to get him over here to Shells, but he's settled over in England and stuff like that, so he doesn't want to move back home. But listen, the way it is, I just had to have him in there because he's a fantastic footballer, but unbelievable skill, and he came from Shells. He worked his way up and got to move across the water, and he's been there ever since. So for me,
Yeah, I
he's in the
remember.
team.
I remember back in that Trapattoni era as well. Dunphy nearly pulled out his hair. He was such a supporter of Wes
Yeah,
Hoolahan. And every
unbelievable.
time Wes wasn't in the side or he was on the bench, I know Dunphy used to be nearly pulling his hair out in the studio and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So
And
remember,
after the fact when he did get into the team, he was vindicated after that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
'Cause
yeah. Like the
he was a
goalie scored
fabulous
against
footballer.
Sweden and all,
Yeah,
just after half time in the second
yeah,
half. And like I said, the amount of crosses, assists he got, and he was just a different breed of player that we hadn't seen before. Listen, there's so many other midfielders. You look at the likes of Andy Townsend, Andy Reid. There's people were saying about McIntyre and this, that, and the other. But
mm.
for me, I put Wezzo in there. I was a big fan of him. I
Big
used to watch
show.
him down at Tolka, and so yeah, I put him in there.
Yeah, well, our viewers and subscribers, let us know what you think of Wes as a call in there. Mark's
Mm.
justified without a doubt in putting him in there, but let me know your thoughts. Would you put him into your teams? Big call there, but great call,
Mm.
yeah. That's your midfield, is it?
That's my three midfield. Yeah,
Brilliant. I went for three in midfield as well because I went for 4-3-3. Nice. I went for a nice attacking Irish team. That's what I wanted to
yeah,
say, right? So my three in midfield. I went for Keno in the middle as the holding man, spraying the ball around and dictating the game. 366 games in the Prem, 67 games for Ireland. Should have hit the 100 for Ireland.
mm.
Without a shadow of a doubt, he should have been a man who has 100 caps for Ireland only for what went on, and 13 GA for Ireland as well between goals and assists.
Mm.
So not only was he a playmaker, not only was he a holding midfielder as well, but he could also get on the score sheet when needed and stuff like that, or create. Flanking him on both sides, on the left hand side, I went for Andy Townsend.
Interesting.
Because what I wanted Keane in the middle, kind of holding and dictating the play, and then I wanted the Flair coming up the flanks to support my front three. So interesting. I had Andy Townsend there, 215 games in the Premier League, 70 games for Ireland, and a 9 GA between goals and
Yeah,
assists. So
and he
yeah,
captained a lot of them games for Ireland as well, didn't he?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely fabulous player, Andy Townsend, and a powerhouse as well. So I put him in there. Um, the other side of Kane, this is one that will create debate now without a, come at me if you want this. These are two guys who still dislike each other.
Okay.
So I put Macker in there, Jason McIntyre, 156 games in the Prem, at a very high level for Liverpool as well, not
Mm.
just in the Prem. 52 games for Ireland. Again, someone who should have played a lot more. I think he should have put a lot more caps on the board. And 7 GA for Ireland, goals and assists.
Mm.
So my midfield three, Jason McIntyre, Roy Keane, and Andy Townsend. That's what I
And
went with.
McAteer obviously got one of the most important goals against Holland that time. And lands down
Absolutely.
the half
Yeah.
volley into the top corner by Van der Sar. But listen, you hear the stories about we seen like great crack off the pitch, trigger as they call them, and
Yeah.
like you said, remember I'm playing for Sunderland and doing the
Yeah.
book thing to Keane and all. So
Yeah. I've
yeah,
done it.
listen,
I've gone to a couple of evenings with him and Robbie Fowler.
yeah,
And I can tell you now categorically, I'm the biggest Robbie Fowler fan in the world. That jersey there, right there, is signed by Robbie Fowler. It's the Worthington Cup
really,
final. I got it signed by him the night we went and seen him. But Jason McAteer is outstanding. He could be a stand-up comedian. He is brilliant. And I tell you one thing, if he wasn't involved in those Robbie Fowler nights, they could be a little bit, and Liverpool fans, come at me if you want, just a little bit bland if
yeah, yeah.
McIntyre has unbelievable stories between himself and Bob and Ruddock. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
I
Um,
remember. I remember hearing one. I was watching the Pods and Rod show when he was on it, and he's gotten this new Porsche, and he was going to bring Ruddock to training,
yeah,
and he get out, and the keys are in the car. So Ruddock says, "Go in and get a hanger." He comes out with a wooden hanger.
wooden hanger. Brilliant. What's the other side? That's the one where he met Jimmy White in the bar and he went up to him
Oh yeah,
180.
he went 180
180
instead of
for Jimmy White.
147.
Brilliant, brilliant. Some great
Oh
stories, but it's a brilliant evening out. If you see the two of them, catch it. It's well worth it.
yeah,
Robbie again. Robbie is a bit sort of. Robbie needs to let his hair down a bit. He can be a little bit straight laced, but
okay,
McIntyre is just he's on it from minute one. Absolutely brilliant.
that's
Um,
good crack, already.
right, give us your front sort of conundrum here. What you went with?
So two up top. I think it's probably one of the better partnerships that we've seen for Ireland over the years. The first lad I have up there played for the likes of Arsenal, Man City, Sunderland. He was a very well-spoken gentleman and still is. But gone for Niall Quinn up top.
Great show.
Scored some really important goals. Was obviously there for Italia 90, USA 94, and 2002 World Cup. So he's been there, done that. He was so fresh faced. Euro 88 and Italia 90. Scored some really important goals, got some really vital assists. And when I talk about assists, I mean like knockdowns, headers, little knockdowns to the lad that I'm playing beside him. And even when he was playing with the likes of John Aldridge and stuff up there. So I've gone for Niall Quinn up front. Beside him is Ireland's top ever goal scorer. Again, he's one that probably writes himself into the team along with Given and Duffer. So I'll go for Robbie Keane up front as well.
Great show. Absolute great show. If you're listening, and we're going to go out here again, Niall Quinn is in that same locker with the lock on it as Shay Given. It's not debatable. Don't debate it. Don't come at us. It's not debatable. Niall Quinn is Irish royalty when it comes to the national team. When
Clinton Morrison and David Connolly were not getting near my team. Let me tell you that.
I went with 3 up front. You got 2 of them. So Robbie Keane on the right, 349 games in the Prem, 146 for Ireland, 74 GA. 74 GA, unbelievable. I went with Niall Quinn in the middle, 250 games in the Prem, 92 for Ireland, 30 GA in total between goals and assists. Yeah. And on the left-hand side, you spoke about him already in your team. I went for Mr. Assist himself, because I thought if there's any man who can sling balls in to Niall Quinn's head with absolute perfection, I went with the man who always looked wrecked, Damien Duff. 392 games in the Prem, 100 for Ireland, and 21 GA between goals and assists. And I think that's a potent front 3. Robbie Keane, Niall Quinn, and Damien Duff. That's what I went with.
Yeah, there's plenty of goals.
That's my 4-3-3, and I think if we went with that, I think we would have scored a lot of goals, and I think we would have put a lot of teams to the sword. Trapattoni, I hope you're listening. You ruined it for us. Yeah. You, O'Neill, all these negative guys, you ruined it for us.
Liam Brady in there as his assistant. Do you remember that? Trapattoni.
And listen, carries that sword on his back to this day.
Yeah.
He was the biggest advocate for that guy at that time, remember. Any notable mentions?
I think I mentioned David Connolly, did I? Did I mention David Connolly? I don't know.
Like I
said, Like I said, from the back, Gary Kelly, Ian Hart. Yeah. You look at Kevin Kilban. The likes of Kevin Kilban was a great servant for the country. I know he would have been with Wigan and a few others, but he always used to get a torrent of abuse. But listen, when he came to represent Ireland, he gave it his all. So he'd be up there as well. Obviously, you got the likes of, you look at the likes of Phil Babb and all back in the day. He did always put a shift in. I know he was a Spice Boy or whatever back in the day. So, but Andy Reid be up there as well. Scored some vital free kicks, great assists. Obviously, he always carried a bit of weight, but I think he used it in the right way on the pitch. He's obviously doing very well as a coach with Nottingham Forest at the minute as well. So shout out to him there.
Yeah.
You could have the likes of Cascarino, Aldridge, Steve Staunton, like you said as well. Because Ray Houghton, he would have been playing with Liverpool at the time.
And another man who always looked wrecked like Duffer as well, Mr. Throw-in sensation in himself, Mr. Rory Delap.
Rory Delap, yeah. Watch a lot of him when he was with Stoke. His son's actually with Man City now, isn't he? So he's doing well, but. Yeah, he always looked wrecked.
Unbelievable. He could throw a ball right in. Now, these days it's so unfashionable and stuff like that. But to have for us as an Irish team, to have that as a weapon in our locker was huge at the time. Especially because a lot of the time we always played with a big man up front with a small man playing off. So it was such a potent thing for us to do.
Even when he was playing with Stoke and he got a throw, Robert Hoothby and Shawcross be going up for a throw in, and you're looking at it going, it's better than a corner. It's better. The amount of goals he scored. I remember, I think it was against Arsenal. They scored 3 in a game from throw-ins.
We have even down here when I was coaching at Greystones last season, we had a big lad playing up front, was tall lad. Alex was his name. And I always used to say, when we get the throw-ins, he's your target man to hit with the long throw-in, and he's going to
Yeah.
knock it down for the other guys. So I deployed the same type of system even at Greystones United. Thinking back to all those years with Rory Delap and stuff like that. So I used to, in training sessions and all, I'd have the lads practicing throw-ins, and I'd have them hitting targets right out distance-wise, all the way to the middle of the box and all, yeah. Because I remember those times with Rory Delap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Like,
The amount, like I
so
said,
unfashionable now. If you did that now, they'd
like,
nearly sub you.
yeah. Tony Pulis, he used to love that he did playing it that way. But yeah, there's a few there. Like, even when you look at the likes of Matty Holland and Mark Kinsley and all that, whenever they came over to represent, they always done a really good job for us, and I think they deserve a mention as well.
Yeah, I've got two there on the list. One again who isn't a friend of Roy Keane either. So it'll be hard to include him, but Jonathan Walters. Absolutely fabulous player. 233 games in the Premier League, 54 for Ireland.
And for Stoke, he was on the end of a few Rory Delap throws for Stoke that time as well.
Absolutely. Scored 18 goals as well, I think, for Ireland, so it was good for a goal in three. Goal in three, which on the face of it, you would turn around and say, not overly impressive, but when you think about it in terms of Ireland at that stage and stuff like that,
a lot of time he was playing. I think, if I remember rightly, he was playing from the right a lot as well. So you're coming from Stoke, you used to be playing up top and being the main man, and then you come over to play for Ireland, and he was playing on the right hand side a lot. So again, he put a shift in. He wasn't afraid of a tackle. I think he's a scouser, isn't he? Originally from Liverpool. So, but listen, he did. Like I said, he came over, scored a few goals, done a job for us as well, and
that was kind of a trait, wasn't it? Where we'd have players that would play at a club level, and we played them in a different position. We seem to do that a lot around the park at times.
Obviously, bar the lads who we mentioned, the likes of Duffer and Kane and stuff. I think the rest of the lads were kind of wedged into positions at times just to get them in there and maybe get them a cap or two as well. So, but yeah, he would have been up there. I know if Dazzler was on, he mentioned James McLean, because I know he's a big fan of his. So we'll give him an honourable mention as well.
Yeah, the only other one I had as an honourable mention now, and Everton fans sit up and take notice. I know you think I'm a big Liverpool fan and stuff like that, and there's a disdain there, but I had Shamie Coleman in the team. But the other man I want to mention as well that goes forgotten at times, one Lee Carsley.
Oh yeah.
Who was a proper baller in the middle of the park, and he was an old school hard ass midfielder. Who I thought deserves an honourable mention.
He had a good footballing brain, Lee. I think he's manager of the England under-21s now at the minute. Do you remember him and Gravison? He used to play in midfield there for Everton, the two Baldy lads, the two Mitchell brothers, as I used to call them.
Yeah.
But again, he found it hard to get into the team because you had obviously Roy there and maybe Mark Kinsley and stuff like that as well, and Matty Holland came in, so he did find it hard. But when he came in, he always used to do a job, and like I said, he always had a good footballing head on him. So yeah, no, it was a good show.
Yeah, so just go through quickly our WhatsApp group. Greg sent in his team. So his team was Given, Coleman, McGrath, Dunn, Irwin, Keane, Stephen Ireland, Duff, McIntyre, Keane, and Quinn.
Now, wait, hold on there. Stephen Ireland.
Now, I can't tell you what he wrote after he wrote Ireland.
Okay,
it wouldn't be suitable for the show. But I think I'm just going to check further down. He sent me more messages. And him and Dino had a good debate about Coleman versus Finnan. That's the debate I was talking about on our WhatsApp group. I think he came in and he said Ted made a good point about Coleman as well. He says, if you think about it in terms of McLean only gets a mention because he hates the Queen and he won't wear the poppy. Otherwise, no one would be talking about him, which is a reasonably fair comment. Greg came back afterwards. I have to correct it as well. He said, take out Ireland and put in Andy Reid. So good show.
Okay, Andy Reid.
That's
Stephen
really
Ireland. How did he even think of putting him in the team? Jesus Christ, talented lad, but his head was all over the place. Over the place.
Had a lovely Range Rover, I heard.
Yeah, so I heard. Yeah, nice colour as well.
Yeah, nice shape.
He used to drive his granny around in it, apparently, did he?
Yeah, absolutely. Ian came on as well. Didn't give us a full team, but an honourable mention there. Ian the Hitman Hart. So that's what Ian put up. That pro wrestling in him. You can't get rid of it. Ted came in and he said, I'd say Coleman is much better than McLean, other than being so against the Queen and wearing the poppy. His name wouldn't even be mentioned. So yeah, listen, Ireland fans, come in here. Let us know in the comments what you think. This is what the boys are thinking on WhatsApp. Good show for most of them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But I think
absolutely.
it's an interesting one when you look at an Ireland team like that, isn't it? And as you said, like I toyed with it, like I toyed with Jonathan Walters and all, and I obviously toyed with McGrath versus O'Shea, but I was thinking in terms of achievement in the Premier League, and I was trying to find a balance between what I was using to decide on stuff, and as I
Yeah,
moved through the positions, it kind of changed because when you look at you look at John O'Shea in there, you look at Dennis Irwin, you look at Roy Keane, and you look at and I suppose Duffer to a point as well, all the stuff that they won.
yeah,
They won
yeah.
so much between them and stuff like that and all. You know what I mean? And you're talking about guys that were voted like Irish Player of the Year and stuff like that as well. You
Exactly.
know what I
Yeah,
mean? So it was hard to judge it. And then you look at the likes of how good Richard Dunn was. But as you said, wasn't playing in a Man City team that we know now that's on their pomp.
now, yeah,
You know what I mean? And then you look at Seamus Coleman, who's been a great servant for Everton and a fantastic player for him and stuff like that. But they won a whole lot. So you kind of have to, whereas you look at Steve Finn, and Steve Finn, the guys made the
Champions
point
League.
in the WhatsApp group that he was a better footballer.
Mm.
But then you're trying to balance out footballing between work rate and endeavour. And this is something I spoke to Darren about today, because Darren agreed with Dino. He said that he'd have Steve Finn every day over Seamus Coleman.
Mm.
Whereas I was thinking of Seamus Coleman in terms of work rate. Darren was thinking in terms of footballing and stuff like that. So there's
All
arguments back and
subjective, isn't it?
forth. Absolutely. I mean, look, 9 times out of 10, Paul McGrath gets into everyone's Ireland team. There's no doubt about it. But in my formation here, if I put Paul McGrath in, I'm taking John O'Shea out. And I'm
Out.
thinking, I'm taking all the success of that Premier situation out
Mm.
of the team and putting Paul in. Not the look, I
That,
mean, Paul McGrath was a fabulous footballer. You
yeah.
know what I mean? But
Listen, that's why I went for 5 at the back myself, just to kind of get them all in there,
yeah, you kind of cheated. You kind of cheated 5 at the back. But look, 5 at the back, it's not unusual. It's Ireland, so this is
That's
sometimes
it.
what we play and stuff like that.
Well,
But yeah,
listen, Finnan and Dennis Irwin get up and down that line.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Dennis, yeah. How was Dennis? How was Dennis on Saturday? Was he good on Saturday?
Bang on, absolute bang on.
Yeah,
I thought he'd be quiet, but chatting away, and he had time for everyone, and he had a nice few shandies on Saturday night, so
yeah.
he
How
had
did
a
he?
good.
How did he play?
He did very well. Yeah, he did very
Yeah,
well. He was playing right full, so Chalky actually played centre half for a lot of the game. So
yeah.
him and Dennis were passing it amongst each other at the back, and he done
Making a
very well.
making a shower, lads. I'd say.
But Dennis is still really really fit,
Yeah.
really fit. He got up and down the line, and he was getting crosses in, and but you could see, play it simple, 1-2 touch. Oh, it was unbelievable to watch, and
That's the
so I
difficulty playing them, isn't it? They don't give the ball
yeah.
away.
Exactly. So, because I played a few balls to him and stuff like that, and he was just telling me to keep it short instead of going long, and I'll just keep the ball. And the ball came over the top, and I came out to get it, and I caught the ball, and McClare just went like that down. So it just went on the ball, went on the ground like that, just to waste a bit of time, just to give them a
Yeah,
little breather and stuff. So, but
yeah,
no, Dennis was brilliant, absolute brilliant, and
yeah.
he was an absolute gent on the day as well.
Well, just to remind our viewers, this is what we've been doing. Premier League Combined 11 Irish Edition, Irish players. Let us know your ones down in the comments. And while you're doing that, the like button is very, very important to us now in
Yeah.
terms of the YouTube algorithm. Obviously, hit the notification button and the subscribe button as well. Try and grow the channel as much as we can. We're putting out fantastic content every week. And we really
And
enjoy doing it, but we really need your support to keep on growing.
absolutely, and as well, don't forget comment. We might have missed some name. There could be someone out there that we missed. So just put it into the comments down below as well.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's been a pleasure.
I love the
Um,
cause. It's been brilliant.
So until next time, if you want to contact us, it's the upper tier podcast at gmail.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music. If you have an internet connection or you have a smartphone, you have no reason for not finding us. We will not accept any reason unless you're on Love Island or unless you're in a jungle somewhere where you have no connectivity at all. We are everywhere on social media. Do not bring an excuse to the table for not finding us. We appreciate your support, and we will talk to you again real soon.